director for model-based enterprise transformation. And as a part of the work we do, I'm going to explain to you what that is. As a part of the work we do, generative AI is a big piece of what we are driving forward to transform the way we work. So with me today is Madiha Jafri, who is my chief engineer within the space of generative AI. And we're just going to share with you a bit of the why, what we're doing, and leave some time for some interaction, conversation, answering some questions as well during this time slot. So with that, I have just a couple of slides to help guide the conversation. And I'm going to pull that up right now. Perfect. Okay, so when it comes to what we do from a Lockheed Martin corporation, we have been on a transformation journey for the past couple of years. So really across our business, we are transforming with urgency to meet the 21st century security needs of our customers, really to be ahead of ready and to provide them the solutions, the products that they need in order to serve kind of the security mission that Lockheed Martin is such a big part of. We're embracing as a company disruptive innovation in our processes, our technology, our tools, and our culture. And the whole goal is just to drive speed and agility for our customers. So when we talk about the why when it comes to model-based enterprise and generative AI, this is an integral part of our 1LM, is what we call it, our 1LMX transformation. So really, model-based enterprise happens to be a North Star of our transformation. And it really is all about adopting across our enterprise at large a model-first mindset, which optimizes the way that we design, buy, build, and sustain, right? We've been on this multi-year journey, and it is focused on people, process, and tools. And we're pairing this now with generative AI to fundamentally transform the way we work. It's such an exciting time to be an engineer at Lockheed Martin right now, and such an exciting time to be a leader within Lockheed Martin right now, because we are taking a look at, this isn't just about using a couple fancy tools, right? This really is about integrating and changing our workflows, our processes, and our culture at large, how we work as a business, as engineers in our business, I'll say. So that's the why. That's why we're here. That's what model-based enterprise is, and why generative AI is such an important piece of our vision going forward. So when it comes to our blueprint, I mentioned that model-based enterprise is really all about connecting, right? The design, buy, build, and sustain product lifecycle. And we do that essentially by establishing a digital thread that spans all parts of the way that we work, that spans our entire life cycle. And this is all about, for us, at the end of the day, speed and being able to bring in disruptive technologies to bring products to our customers faster than ever before. So when we think about digital thread, it does connect data across the life cycle. And what you also see here is that we're spanning disciplines. This is so much more than just engineering, right? It isn't just engineering, kind of doing cool work and then throwing things over the wall. It really is about integrating data, spanning disciplines, so that we can make decisions faster once we go into buy and build and then ultimately sustain our products with and for our customers. And so we are touching all elements of the life cycle when it comes to generative AI. And what I'll say is, as we're integrating our digital thread, you could think of now AI has evolved in such, fast breakneck speed that we're laying in our generative AI capabilities on top of our digital thread. And our goal is just really to take advantage of the speed of the AI and to use our data, our Lockheed Martin data that we have across so many programs, really to train and connect our AI models, and then to create those design agents that help us and realize that kind of human technology collaboration to advance the way that we develop our products. So this is kind of all about the why. Again, as an enterprise, we've tackled this. We're on a multi-year journey, pretty early in this multi-year journey, but really important and exciting time to be driving change at Lockheed Martin. And so when it comes to, my role, how, come into a role like this in the organization, I think that there's like some fundamentals aside from having, our blueprint in place and our transformation initiative in place. When it comes to tactics that we have to bring to the table in order to drive and lead change like this, you really have to be a change agent to drive this visionary work. And, just to every day have conversations about transforming the way we work and transforming our culture. And I do work with a cadre of change agents. And so I want to just introduce one to you right now, Madiha Jafri, who I said is my chief engineer. She really helps out in this portfolio. And I want her to take a moment to, maybe come off mute and answer a question, because I want this to start an interactive dialogue here. And this is, Madiha has an incredible background, and she's going to share some of that with you. But, really want her from a change agent tactics perspective to answer, how do you leverage, Madiha, your career experience to help transform the way that we work at Lockheed Martin?
Yeah, thank you so much for the opportunity, Sheila, and it's so nice to virtually meet everyone here. So yeah, I mean, I think Sheila, just like how you mentioned about your background, I've also been very fortunate, to have a diverse career background in engineering with experience in leading change and in transformation efforts, right? So I've also AI is something that, even though it's very old, it's picked up pace now recently, but I've also led in domains like cybersecurity and nanotechnology that dealt with their own era of being unwanted and misunderstood, to now, being super wanted and in demand, right? So my PhD was in AI and engineering almost 20 years ago. So I know what resistance to change looks like. I know how to be patient with others when they're not on board, and also how to be open to new ideas, and how to communicate difficult ideas effectively with both technical and non-technical stakeholders. So I think all of these are basically, what has enabled me to be a little bit more capable change agent.
Sounds wonderful, Madiha.
Thank you.
I'll say that, share a little bit of my own experience. I've been with Lockheed Martin for 25 years now and grew up in the engineering community, just kind of from a systems engineering perspective, driving several customers, space platforms, jet training systems. That's the type of work that we do, and the type of products that I've been able to work with. And all along the way, right, I've been able to, I was always just kind of so interested in what's next, what's coming. And so was able to, get certifications and use my own, I was very early on in my career trained in Six Sigma, Lean Six Sigma change transformation efforts, right? Very early in got a black belt in that. Very early in my career also was able just to take like facilitation courses, and I always took on the stretch assignments, which were about the future of work and kind of change in the organization. So I was able just to use that background, and about, 4 years ago, come into our enterprise engineering organization to lead transformation at large for engineering. And this is where our model-based enterprise vision came into effect, and really working cross-discipline, not just with engineers anymore, right? With operations, manufacturing engineers and supply chain folks, and our sustainment engineers to really drive, okay, how can we do work differently? And as the speed of AI has come up, now being able to lead, from what I know from a transformation perspective, from an engineering perspective and cross-discipline, now to insert in our generative AI elements to change the way we work is pretty exciting. So, my tactics, because I am a facilitator and all those things, I think one of the things that I'm challenged every day is just to lead with vision and to always have the future in mind with all of the work that we do, and to make sure that we reach across to other disciplines and have people join you in the journey, essentially. Because if nobody joins you in this journey, then we're not going to make the big impact that we need to make. And then, of course, we just have to have the tenacity in order to keep moving forward. What I'll say with the generative AI work that we're leading, and we're going to get into a little bit that here in a couple of minutes, is that I haven't needed to have as much tenacity as that. I mean, it's just the everything has just opened. There's so much opportunity here. Whereas I think in the past, probably even 3 years ago, we would have experienced quite a bit of resistance. And we're going to share with you a bit of some recent successes around kind of the playbook that we use to help us with these successes. So I'll go straight to that, and then of course we'll open it up and kind of do some Q&A after we talk about our playbook that we're using to help overcome challenges. So as I mentioned, right, as we are transforming our workflows, we're taking a look at our process, at our tools, and then the people element as well. And as we lay AI on top of this, what we are really focused on is going beyond just, kind of chatbots, but really taking and connecting our models and training those AI models with our data. There's a lot of data that we have across our organization, across our programs. And then once we train that data to be able to connect our AI models and then get to the point where we have a design agent that is able to work side by side, right, with the engineers in our organization to make recommendations on designs, but to have that human in the loop, right, that collaboration and that iteration on solutions. And we utilize a part of this playbook. It's not just the AI people in one corner and then the experts in another corner, but we actually have a couple of things that are a part of our playbook that I think are best practices to kind of consider as generative AI grows, just across the industry, right? Not just at Lockheed Martin, but across the industry at large. I think one of them is Lockheed Martin has stood up an AI Center of Excellence. It is an enterprise-wide AI Center of Excellence, and it becomes kind of that focal point for driving the solutions that we're looking for that are compliant to our particular organization and compliant to our government customers, right? I think another element of that is that we also have a data office. And that data office, same thing, kind of centralized, really taking a look at what it is that we need to have in place in order to drive all the good things that are needed from a data perspective to enable Gen AI and AI in general. And then also we have the collaboration of, we have an enterprise engineering team really driving model-based enterprise transformation. So I think that between these three centers of excellence, pairing up and working together on a common roadmap is a big part of our playbook. We have all of this work, which is a part of the priority in all three of those organizations. We collaborate very well together on an integrated roadmap, and then we have IRAD priority along the way as well. I think another thing that we are taking in as part of this playbook is accelerating rapid demos that infuse our data and our workflows and our tools in order to give the solutions that we're looking for. So yes, we are benchmarking external tools, things that can help us realize this, but we're also via the Lockheed Martin AI Center of Excellence and via our data office, creating our own, right? And being able to use our own data and our own models in order to generate that. And I think that that has been where we've seen rapid growth. Another thing that we do is we've stood up on along with these rapid demos, we do rapid demos about every 3 months and evaluate, right, what are the capabilities that we have. We also have stood up a concept of doing AI hackathons. And so AI hackathons is just, and I'll have Madiha help it very high on making as much progress as possible on the AI solution that we're working towards. And what we do is we bring together engineering experts, we bring in the AI experts, and then we bring in the data experts to work together that week in order to prove out and then release kind of a product and test it with our data. And that has been wildly successful. I think that we're seeing significant opportunity and impacts to address the key areas that we're focused on. And we're seeing, early signals of the beta solutions that we have, taking things that take days now take hours in our engineering workflow, and things that take hours, bringing that down to minutes. So imagine how that transforms the way an engineer works kind of in our overall product life cycle. I'll mention, and we'll kind of address a little bit more about our focus areas. As I had mentioned, we're looking at systems engineering. We're looking at the way that we build hardware and how that integrates into our production floors. We're looking at software build as well, and then the way that we test our products, kind of like those mainstreams that we're looking at and really driving. So maybe, I'll pause now and I'll see if there are any questions. I can't see the chat window right now, but I'll see if there are any questions about our vision at large, kind of the playbook, before we go into some additional thoughts from Madiha on kind of the challenges that we're seeing and how we're looking to overcome them.
Does anybody have any questions? Because I'll ask a question.
Sure.
As far as Sheila, just all the models, I know things are happening so fast with AI, right? And
Yes.
I know the Grok chips, if you read anything about that, about how they clustered them all together, and now how are you managing to keep up with all of that and just integrate them into your workflows when it is such sensitive information?
Yeah, that's such a wonderful question, and I'll start and then I'll let Madiha chime in. I think one piece of it is that we have existing workflows that are established. And so with any one of our products, the first thing that we do is we take a look at, okay, what's our existing workflow? And then we work with the AI team to develop, right, those large language models and to really utilize how can we pull in data from our existing workflows, create the solution, which is, a generative AI solution. We're trying to get more and more towards the design agents, right? With chat capability, kind of human in the loop there, and then put it right back in with our existing tool sets. And so it's really fast and evolving. And I think one of our biggest challenges right now, one is scaling this into all of our existing tools and workflows, right? I mentioned we're starting small with rapid demos. And I think that scaling really requires us to have a handle on our data and the data sharing and data protection issues that we have to deal with in our particular industry. And it's one of the reasons why we do have a Lockheed Martin AI Center of Excellence. You know, we have a barrier. We can't go off and just use whatever open forum tools are out there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Madiha, I'll let you chime in if there's anything you wanted to
Yeah, no, I think you hit that perfectly. I think there is a challenge of how do you I think we have to almost embrace our swim lanes, that we can't be experts at everything, so we understand that, okay, Bill, I'm a domain expert in this specific area in electrical engineering and this, and that's okay, but then we are partnered with just those AI SMEs who know nothing but very sophisticated models, and then they don't know what the domains are. So we understand that it's so important to collaborate and partner, and it's okay to not know both sides, and then come together to get the best of the two solutions.
Got it. So that's kind of the way that the Center of Excellence was structured, to then do a lot of that testing for what you can bring in. Okay, that's interesting. And
Yeah.
then as far as, because Witty, we try to make sure everybody's elevated. We have 3 or 4 AI sessions a week just so we can all share information. Are there, I guess, I don't know how to ask it. Are there do you see one better than others? Is that like, Claude versus Gemini versus,
Yeah.
or maybe maybe like a defense industry or something the safer? I don't even know, because it seems like the Wild West out there, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Madiha, do you want to
Yeah, I
answer
can take a
around
first
the
cut at
types
that.
of tools and what we're
Exactly.
exploring from a benchmark perspective?
Oh yeah, exactly, right. So we're, again, in engineering, right, we are all about trade studies, right? And our products, some can take a different level of risk, some can take a different level of accuracy, some need a broad stroke of a solution, right? So we have thorough trade studies. Some are still in the works, and some like gone are the days when we would just partner with one vendor and sign our life away for 20 years, right, with them. Like we are much more agile with a lot more products, and figuring out the solutions, and then figuring out I mean, we're such a huge company with such a large portfolio, right? So our products and sub-products all use different things. So it is we have to be extremely agile in doing all these trade studies, and fitting the right tools in the right places.
No, that's great. Yeah, and I guess, it's just that, like, all these, used to go to one conference a year in a space. Right now it's like you have to go every month because too much is changing. Anyway, Craig, go for it.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for sharing Lockheed Martin's process and journey and stuff. It's awesome to hear that. My question's like generally around security. That's kind of one of the things I focus a lot on. I'm curious from an engineering perspective, or cybersecurity, really. My experience in enterprise generally is that um, internal threat is oftentimes the biggest risk in a lot of organizations. So I'm transferring that now to AI, and that's how I'm approaching AI from the perspective of checks and balances and guardrails. And I'm curious if you can speak to that, and then what you guys are doing for protection in the area of specifically like internal threat now being AI generated versus a human. And then also the other part is you mentioned the human in the loop part. I also transfer the threat risk now to the combo of you not only have to trust the AI, but you have to trust the human that's in the loop too, which, in security, sometimes we talk about zero trust. I don't really like that phrase, but on the same level, it is kind of a reality when you get down to it. So I'm curious.
Yeah. Madiha, do you want to go first, and then I'll follow up with some thoughts there, just on the conversations we're having around data sharing and data protection.
Exactly, exactly, right. So I mean, I think correct, great comment, and that's why even when I was giving you my background on cybersecurity, I think so many of those same lessons have to be leveraged. So I think we were, especially as to such a, the work that we do, we were working on data governance and the guardrails before we knew what we were going to apply AI to. So we were making sure that our data was. I mean, we have always been sensitive about our data protection, right? But in this case, when you train a model on one set of data that is at a certain classification, can that model be used now on another program and another? So there's so
Yeah.
many details like that have to be worked out, and also it's not just a one company solution. It's a by customer, by by different classification kind of a solution. So and as you mistakes can happen, right? Like data is data. It can mix very easily. So all those protections, even with our infrastructure that didn't used to happen in the past, all the role-based access controls and all those different things to access a certain set of data, we just have to be sure that we have extra layers of protection that we didn't used to have. So I mean that almost kind of adds a little bit of extra layers of bureaucracy as well, but it's definitely something that is top priority. As that was first part of the question, and I'll see what Sheila has to add, and then we can talk about the second part. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for the first part, I think this is why we recognize the challenge there, and it's why we have, as part of our triad of collaboration, is our data officers, as well as our lake. We call them the lake, the Lockheed Martin AI Center of Excellence, as well as our enterprise engineering organization. You have to have that triad. And in the data office, we bring in kind of our CIOs, we bring in kind of all those other data. We have a chief data officer, right? That is a part of these conversations and helping us. For us, it's yes about protecting the data, but something else that we're running into is just to break down the barriers in getting access to our own data internally. And there's an interesting balance that has to happen there, right? Because we have a tendency culturally to say, nope, my data, nobody else can get it, no access. No access is like the first answer. And so we need to change that culture in order to enable, right, and transforming the way we work from a generative AI perspective. It needs to be to protect the data, but no can't be the first answer, right? We do need access to the data in order to, as you see here, train our models, connect our models to then achieve those design agents. And it's really interesting. At one of our latest, I'll give an example. We had one of our AI hackathons, and one of our project teams was just really trying to get into some non-conformance data, right? In order to develop a tool that would help create root cause investigations based off of historical, essentially defect data that we had in the past, right?
Yeah.
And there's a database that exists, and we were trying to get a hold of that in order to train our model to create this design agent, right? That would help collaborate with kind of with the engineer on, hey, I'm having this failure. What could the issues be? What do I need to do in order to, one, resolve that issue, but then two, go back into my design and change my design? And database is there, and we just ran into issues. No, you can't get the data. Why? Oh, because it's protected. It's this. Why? So we had to get our chief data officer involved to really go into, right, is this truly a data protection issue or not? And at the end of the day, we were able to do some cleansing and do some go around, and we were able to use that data that week in order to kind of do the demo. So I think that that's kind of the push-pull that we need to have when it comes to data protection. Yeah. And it's not just, willy-nilly. It really is like this push-pull, as Madiha mentioned. We have to have our standards in place from a cybersecurity perspective and all of that in place. But we also need to rethink why it's there and to change that paradigm in order to help with the Gen AI solutions that we're trying to build out.
Yeah, it sounds like over the top of that, then you have the other part, which is the solution-based compliance or the
Mhm.
solution-based security guardrails. So for
Right.
each solution, there's going to be a different set of guard. If that's what I heard Madiha say, I think is
Yeah.
basically solution based. Yeah, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Cool,
All
thank you.
right.
Great.
And then, let's see. I'm just looking at some of the chat here. Absolutely agreeing with some of the points here. The second part of the question was related to human in the loop human AI collaboration.
Yeah.
Madiha, do you want to hit on your thoughts related to that? And yeah, I'll add on some additional thought processes there.
Yeah, so I mean, I know that we just talked about like almost a positive example, right, of how human in the loop can almost enable security, by helping with scrubbing and making sure that we do we remove the roadblocks. But then I think maybe Craig, you were talking more about insider threat, where a human can come in and exploit maybe the solution that AI gives. So I think those are tackled separately with our existing insider threat solutions on how to tackle, right? So I think those guardrails, I think we're probably going to, we are enhancing them, but I think those stay pretty consistent for
Yeah,
our
and even
AI
just
solution.
accidental, it's not necessarily always uh,
Malicious, yeah.
malicious. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
but with AI involved, then suddenly it's like, okay. I mean, the human
It's
in the loop part almost has to be like a hand holding to some degree.
I think
yeah,
there's
yeah.
also, oh, sorry, Madiha, go ahead.
Oh, no, no, no. I was saying that I mean, and then even that, right? Like just because now we have more data coming faster at humans, so the ability to make that mistake faster is very is at a higher probability as well, right? So we do
Yeah.
have again more AI-based solutions to basically add more guardrails on, hey, this immense amount of data that you're seeing, we think that these bullets are actually classified at a different level. So just pay attention. They may not be, but they may, so again, we are using AI to enhance and provide more guidance to the human in the loop as we overload them with even more data faster. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
want
cool.
to pull a different thread on the human in the loop. And some of that is we are using also human in the loop to help refine our models, right? Refine the teaching of our models. And I think that piece is really important because I know, whenever you talk about AI, there's always the talk about, oh, hallucination. And how do you trust what you're getting out of that model? And we've had some success in some human in the loop. Let me give you this instead. That piece is wrong. It really should try this instead. And it refines the model outputs. And I think at the end of the day, it really is helping us to get towards the design agent part of our vision, right? You got to have that first kind of interaction there in place. And one of the things when it comes to design agents that I want to bring up, I think, think about, Iron Man working with Jarvis to solve the problem that is time travel, right? That's like everybody, whoa, I want that, right? But even there, you saw, right? He was providing parameters, he was doing the things, and he
Yeah.
had a part of that. And so that's what we're seeing as part of our design agent kind of story. We're very careful about this isn't about replacing humans 100%, right?
Yeah.
That's just not the case here, even in our design agent vision. And so I think that's something that we're very careful about, kind of messaging as part of our vision and the work that we're doing. This isn't about eliminating humans 100%. The
Yeah,
work that we do is just too critical for that.
it's that move towards agentic flow, really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Anybody else have any questions before we keep moving?
Sheila had a question in the chat. I'm sorry, Margaret had a question in chat for Sheila. Interesting to hear you talk about Gen AI solutions for hardware design. Do you blend it with quantum computational optimization, particular for aerodynamic modeling?
All
I can
hard
take a
stuff, right?
That's powerful.
I'm gonna let we have a hardware, it happens to be around RF components, and RF board development is our current focus area. I'll let Madiha kind of chime in a little bit more, but what we're doing in that space is, really as we are building out electronic boards, how do you select the best parts? How do you analyze them? And making sure that there's a way to automate that workflow. Surprising at how not automated that workflow is right now. And then, of course, yes, bring in the AI elements. So Madiha, maybe you could share a little bit more about some of our goals. We have a lot of different threads underneath the hardware design thread angle. Maybe you could just share one example of what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I think, I mean, specific to quantum computing, Lockheed got into it again decades ago, right? And I think I was also engaged in quantum computing back in the days with no applications or use cases back in the days because it was just too premature, too early. But this is exactly the time right now to use, our quantum computing powers, right, to get to optimization faster. So we are, I mean, just a very quick yes or no answer is that yes, we do leverage quantum computing to in some areas to see how that optimizes and gets us to the solutions faster. But most of our solutions are still just GPU, CPU based. So that's one part, and then we can also then go into the RF computing examples as well, Sheila, if that's the next path that we'd like to go to.
Yeah. If you just want to share a little bit, since I've mentioned we're doing some hardware kind of design thread work, share a little bit there.
Exactly. So yeah, so I know, I mean, one of the examples that we have done with generative AI is very quickly going from requirements to electronic board designs. So things again coming from to build a product, right? We need a team partnership from systems engineers and hardware engineers and again a different chain of suppliers and all that. So that can take weeks, months, and if not sometimes even years, right? It's a very long life cycle in time. So we've been able to very successfully reduce that time to generate these designs. Down to a few hours, instead of weeks to 2 months. And then again, back to the earlier conversations, having those engineers instead focus on the quality and the effectiveness of the design instead of wasting time emailing things back and forth and manually doing things like we used to. So yeah, it's just one example, one of many examples. We have so many examples.
Thank you so much, Madiha. So I think that, again, this is the playbook we love when it comes to, wow, how you can engage, how anybody in industry, can get engaged. I know one of the things that we have is on our job boards and on our Lockheed Martin websites is, jobs that are related to our our Lockheed Martin AI Center of Excellence. And, data, our data office, we have all those jobs that are related to that. And those are ways, right? If you're interested to get out there and engage. But I think just even in your own industry, right? How do you engage in this pinpoint in time that we are at right now, where, AI is really transforming the way that we work? I think a piece of it is, just from my perspective, is being a change agent in the space that you own, right? Don't be afraid to try the new things. Don't be afraid to, really advocate for the different way to work, one, but then also then advocate for, can we leverage AI tools to optimize our work and our flow? So I think that is like, just don't have the fear. Be the first one to raise your hand to make that difference. Because I think that we're at the point where we might be like a few people on our own, and I think we're past that already. It's like any type of like music festival you go to, you might see, oh, okay, there's like a few people on their own, and then all of a sudden it's like this rush of people and the whole crowd is, in it. I think we're at the point where it's like the whole crowd is getting into it, and in maybe some industries you're still kind of that lone person, but just don't be afraid to be that lone person that stands out and tries something new. I think that the other thing is just that, along with don't be afraid to try something new, is just have that ever growing, that growth mindset, right? Learning is something that we do every day, even with myself, being with this company for as long as I have, I feel like every day, right, I'm learning something new, and we're really pushing the envelope into new spaces. So having that growth mindset is really important too. I think it's such an exciting time to be an engineer, but it's also such an exciting time to be leading transformation. And if you're interested in connecting with us, we have definitely openings, the AI openings on the job boards related to this, but just in general, any type of connection, we love coming to something like this forum, Witty, to share what we're doing, but then also to learn from others as well, and to continue the collaboration. So I know that we only have 5 minutes left. I don't know if there's any closing remarks, David, that you wanted to share. And we will share, our LinkedIn, Sheila Noriega. We're both on LinkedIn, and Dr. Madiha Jafri.
Thanks so much to both of you. And I did tag you both into the stream on LinkedIn so everybody can share that with their community. Lockheed Martin's a great partner of Witty, so we appreciate both of you and want to see you at more events. Especially, I read so much about the blockchain stuff you've been doing, Madiha. So that's another community we have that's kind of separate. So we'll have to talk about that. But I think, one thing that kept coming to mind is just, because I have a startup in the entertainment space. We keep getting these kind of auto reactions. No AI, right? That's been changing a little bit, but it's more just we have to educate, I think, everybody from, it's not like black or white. There's a lot of just ways that people can use it, and all of us as individuals, as companies, as industries, don't take no for an answer, right? So just
That's right.
educate,
That's right.
So thank you both. Does anybody have any questions? Jovita? Okay. Well, I think
Well,
here, Jovita.
okay,
Jovita,
I do
aerospace
have
industry.
a question. As an executive coach coming out of the aerospace industry, I'd love to get involved with what you guys are doing to bring engineers into the next century.
That's right.
This is wonderful.
Yes.
This was absolutely magnificent, and I will be reaching out.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jovita. So nice to meet you. Like I said, it's such an exciting time
It
to be an
is.
engineer. And we're really at the precipice of really changing, right? The way that we work. There's so much, even today, like minutia and the things that we have to deal with. And imagine if we could just use automation and AI to help resolve that, so we could get to our full brain power, right? And then to put those design agents in place to help our full brain power. Gosh, super exciting.
It's wonderful to see what you guys are doing, because even though we're supposed to be the highest of high tech, engineering, especially in aerospace, is not as forward thinking as it should be.
Yeah. We have to deal with a lot of, paperwork and minutia and the things that you're just like, wow, why does it take so long to build an electronic board, right? We're tackling through that, and it's very exciting. Listen, I'll say, as we close, this is something that, Madiha and I get to do every day, but we do it with the support from the highest level, leaders in our corporation. And that for me is also very exciting, because
It's the only way it can work.
Helping us clear the way and really think about the future differently.
That's amazing. So one thing that came up as I was thinking, because it seems like the center of excellence, and I haven't heard at Jovita of other aerospace companies being advanced or defense, or, right? I mean, all of them. Is there, I mean, are you not necessarily open sourcing, but is there kind of, right, like the Cloud Security Alliance, one of our partners, yeah, they work with helping companies together, at least on some of these frameworks for the industries.
Yeah, I
Is there
think that
anything like that, or?
Medea and I are fully focused internal, but there is a portion of our lake, which is the Lockheed Martin AI Center of Excellence, which is looking towards external and working with industry. So I will say the answer to that is yes, and we could probably get you in touch with the right person to learn more about that.
No, that'd be great, because yeah, I think we have to all elevate each other, and there's certain things, you know, we don't have to reinvent the wheel at every stage like we've
Yeah.
been doing for, you know, for a while. So
Yeah, exactly right.
thank you both so much.
Yeah,
Amazing.
thank you for your time. Really looking forward to future collaboration.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, thanks everybody. One more session at the top of the hour, with the wellness, our monthly wellness circle. Hang out for that same Zoom room, but maybe take a break, or we'll hang out here if you have any questions. Thanks so much, Sheila and Madiha.
Thank you.
Take care.
Oh my goodness.